So it's been some time since my last post. I had actually started recording a submission some weeks ago, sitting outside on the porch, and it seemed fate had other plans because not 2 minutes into the video, a cavalcade of loud, beeping, roaring, obnoxious trucks in succession decided they all needed to come down my street. It was like a FedEx truck, then a UPS truck, then some, truck delivering mulch. And I was just like, okay, clearly the gods did not want me to record this video today. And then, I have to be in the kind of sort of the right frame of mind to craft the video. And so the idea that I had for that video at that time is shelved. I have the fledgling video somewhere on my phone, but right now I'm actually going to be using this opportunity to create a video to fulfill an academic obligation. Since my last post or submission, I actually enrolled in college for liberal arts and English, and it just started June 5th, and so far it seems to be going quite well, actually. I had a late submission for one discussion topic, which frustrates me a bit because I live by the credo of, on time is late and late is unacceptable, early is on time, yada, I messed that up, but you know what I mean. Early is on time is late, late is unacceptable. In any case, it's for English Composition 2. The professor has tasked the students with one of the first assignments to create either an audio or video recording on the topic of creative writing. And for anyone who knows me, I don't have anything published, but I've been writing prolifically and voraciously since I was old enough to put paper to pen and pen to paper. It's a little, I have to say that recording a video for something that has been prompted to me, I admit it feels a bit less natural for me than when having natural inspiration for the other topics that I've chosen to discuss in the past. So I may not have the same flow as in previous videos, but I think for the purposes of my assignment, I hope that my viewing audience, my English Composition 2 professor, and what few viewers I may have will forgive me for this canned submission. So the general prompt for the video is supposed to be to discuss creative writing, what it means to me, what are my thoughts, sort of to just wax poetic on creative writing. I enjoy writing, and my brain is frequently turning on new ideas, concepts, plot snippets of inspiration, and I enjoy expressing myself and the many ideas that I have. And I'm not really quite sure where my creativity would best be compartmentalized, because I write things of all different genre type. I write imaginative fiction, science fiction, fantasy, erotica, stuff that is intended to read like fantastical stereo instructions. Stuff that just kind of is inspired by things I've seen in the news, media, popular culture, wish fulfillment. I recently wrote a short excerpt of an alternative passage of what would have happened if in the Fellowship of the Ring by J.R. Tolkien had Galadriel accepted and taken the ring from Frodo when he offered it to her in the Eves of Lothlorien, and having a somewhat morbid streak 10,000 league boots span wide. I am rather pleased with the result, as foreboding and gloomy and brief as the result might have been. Writing creatively allows us to explore our imagination. Writing creatively allows us to bring into fruition a different world, a world that exists, but sadly only within our minds. I mean, if you're writing fiction, yes, there are fiction that is based on truth and characters who have been drawn from inspiration of real life, and any names, places, and persons or depictions that bearing any resemblance to actual persons, places, or things is purely unintentional and yada yada yada. But for the most part, I think I said it earlier that creative writing is, for what I write, it's a form of wish fulfillment. You have this idea and you want to give form and shape to it. You want to breathe life. You want to make real what is fantasy. You want to realize as best you can the possibilities, the potential. You want to explore this reality you've created. And you are the omnipotent and omniscient authority in that world. You have amazing authority. I'm reminded of a short story by Stephen King called Omni's Last Case, about a hard-boiled detective character in an alternate 1930s Los Angeles, and his life, this detective, is being changed. Inexplicable things are taking place that he could not have conceived. You know, he's like, oh, I'm supposed to come into this diner and order my breakfast, and you're always supposed to give it to me. And this elevator car operator is always here, and he's always had a cigarette, and you know, and it turns out he's the figment of a creative writer's mind, and the creative writer in the real world is dissatisfied with his life and has figured out a way to, by disrupting his invention's established world to a sufficient degree, will allow him to supplant that character and for him to step into those shoes and assume his life. And I think ultimately that is what most authors, perhaps not to quite so destructive a degree, but what most authors secretly, in some small recess of their mind, hope or wish that they could step into the pages of their books and their stories. That they, you know, you write what you know, you write what you see, and you write what you want. And it's not just as in I write what I want, as in I write what I please. I write what I want as I write what I desire. You know, I mean, I don't write about just being a billionaire with the ability to travel through time, but sure. One of the stories I've written, not the billionaire part, but time travel. Who doesn't dream about time travel? But that's just it. Exploring these worlds, being able to find out what works, coming up with ideas, assembling them together like a puzzle, finding out what fits, what doesn't fit, trying the puzzle piece and seeing if, you know, if it doesn't fit one way, turning it and clicking it in and twisting it more and trying to see, you know, and finding other pieces and turning them around, changing ideas, you know, names, places, genders, time, setting. You know, there's so many ways that this puzzle in your mind can be made to fit. And creative writing brings such a wonderful skill to help you realize this. There's infinite possibility for infinite number of worlds, of places, of dreams, of people. You can have George Soros having coffee with Betsy Ross and discussing the financial viability of designing 10,000 variants of the American flag as they climb into their Stratocruiser, you know, limited edition with, you know, the executive platinum trim package time machine. You know, you can imagine what it would be like if George Washington had said, you know what, I want to be king. You can explore a reality where Winston Churchill decided he'd be much better off, you know, exploring the Arctic instead of entering into politics. You know, there's, you know, what would the life of a bumblebee be if it was confronted with a magic bottle with a genie inside, and the genie said, you, Mr. Bumblebee, I'll grant you 3 wishes. You know, what would a bumblebee wish for? You know, there's no end to the ideas you can have. There's no end to the ways that you can explore these different ideas. Some may come out terrible, you know, stinking to high heaven. And some might be the next War and Peace. You could be the next Steinbeck, the next Somerset Maugham. You know, there's no limit except the limits you place within yourself and your imagination to utilize the skill of creative writing. And it is one that from whom I am very glad to have discovered the pleasures thereof. And I write simply for that reason alone, my own pleasure. But I'm happy to share any of my ideas, to share any of my writings with those who would be curious to see. And I would hope that they would be eager to share with me and others as well. I think writing is, it's as expressive as if you're placing pastel and oil paint to canvas. It's just, you're an artist working with a medium, just, of a different kind. That's all. Yeah. Thanks for listening.